Hello and welcome to Your New Jersey. I'm Lisa Marie Falvo. On today's show, we're featuring two leaders dedicated to strengthening New Jersey's arts, education, and communities. Sean Spiller, former Montclair mayor and NJEA President, and Ruthi Zinn Byrne, founder of Zinn Graves Field of Florham Park. But first, we're joined by Marisol Rodriguez, co-founder and executive director of Renew Life Center. Through mentoring, education, and emotional support, Renew is helping single mothers overcome poverty and break cycles that impact entire generations. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Have to shout out Tony Barbera,
Yes.
my lovely accountant, for introducing us.
Yes.
Because his daughter Jenna went to your fundraiser,
Yes.
was so moved by you and the organization, and he immediately called me and said, you have to get Marisol on the
Wow.
show. And here you are.
That's great. Thank you.
Tell us, what is Renew?
Well, Renew Life Center is an education and mentoring organization, and we have a laser focus on particularly single moms because 28% of single moms in New Jersey live in poverty. And as opposed to married couples, only 5% when you live in a married household experience poverty. So I really have a heart for the single mom, and that type of poverty also tends to be generational, which means that it's not just that the mom is in poverty, but her parents were and her grandparents were. So that type of deep-rooted poverty is really difficult to overcome. Actually, most people don't. And then it just gets passed on to the children. And for the sake of the children, I think it's important that we address the economic situation of the mothers.
Absolutely. What drove you and your co-founder to start the organization?
What drove us, well, first of all, both of us came from poverty, right? So I grew up with a single mom myself, and in poverty, and she, so we were on welfare, food stamps, the whole thing, but we were able to overcome it. And a lot of people don't. So what moved us was our own personal experience from poverty, and then also working or volunteering at a women's center in Elizabeth that supported women, and just seeing the women come in over and over again, like with the same problems. It seemed like a never-ending cycle. So it always felt like we were putting out fires with them. And we kind of started thinking, it's like, well, what are we doing? Like, why are we just addressing her immediate issues instead of digging deep and finding out what is causing her to be stuck in this situation, like perpetually? And that's where the light bulb came on, and we started looking into that.
How do you help women become unstuck?
Well, education. The big thing is education. And you know what happens a lot of times? People don't believe me, but it's true. People will come to my center in Paterson with degrees, sometimes multiple degrees, but they grew up in generational poverty. So although they did what everyone says, get an education, get a degree, and you'll be okay, well, that's not true. If you come from generational poverty, in addition to that degree, you need to learn other things on how to operate, move, and feel comfortable in different statuses or in the professional environment, because they operate differently. So you come from generational poverty, your mindset is focused on survival all the time. When you come from a middle class background, your mindset is focused on achievement all the time. So here you have someone with a survival mindset trying to be successful in an achievement environment. Doesn't work. And that's why they feel stuck. They're like, why did I get a degree for? I'm not getting anywhere. So when you address that, when you address the mindset and help them shift from that continuous survival thinking to achievement, which is planning, having a longer time horizon, financial management, even hidden rules, we call them hidden rules of how different environments work, then you could enter those environments and actually succeed in them, because it's kind of like the language. They speak a different language. So the education and mentoring is huge because you could learn things, but then you need practice in applying it. And that's where mentors come in.
When people walk into your center in Paterson, what can they find there?
Well, the first thing they're going to find is a nice, beautiful, fresh-smelling waiting room where they are warmly welcomed and then escorted into the classroom. So we have classrooms, we have mentoring rooms, and we also have childcare. And this is very important. Part of what we do is because if we're serving single mothers, they have children, obviously, right? And if we don't provide childcare for them to be able to come to the center and participate in mentoring or workshops, then they can't take it. So part of what Renew wants to do is remove obstacles. Obstacle number 1, childcare. Obstacle number 2 may be transportation. Obstacle number 3 may mean I have to cook dinner for my kids, so I can't come to class. And we're like, just come anyway. We'll have dinner ready for you. So we've removed those obstacles, but they can find a warm welcoming room, classrooms, counseling rooms, a beautifully equipped childcare room, and our prep shop, which is a shop that we have on site of gently used children's clothing. And as they participate in our workshops and programs, they earn points with which they can go shopping in the prep shop. One mom came in and said, this place is like a spa for my brain, because she walks in and just feels so relaxed. It's calming, it's soothing, it's beautifully decorated, because we want them to know how special they are.
That's beautiful. I mean, what a testimony.
Yeah.
And for your funders, right? Because I'm sure you have to raise a lot of money
Yes.
to keep that going.
Yes.
So how do you do that?
Well, mostly through fundraisers like the banquet. And also, you know, we get support by individuals, you know. And actually, I wrote a book, which you might bring up later. But,
I was going to bring it up right now.
But, you know, the book is out there in the world. And
Yeah.
I get donations from Wisconsin and Florida and people that bought my book and say, hey, I want to support that. I do a lot of presentations in churches and things like that. So yeah.
Let's segue into the book, Beyond Her Yes. Tell us about it.
Well, Beyond Her Yes is specifically addressing women who experience an unplanned pregnancy and then choose to move forward with it. About 40% of women who face an unplanned pregnancy and want to terminate it is because of economic conditions. They state financial things. I don't have a job. I don't have a house. It's a financial thing. And that's a big number. And I think it's a darn shame for you to have to make such a decision because of finances, right? But then if you do choose to go on with the pregnancy, then what? And now you're already in poverty. You're entrenched even deeper in poverty. You have nothing to offer your children, and it gets really ugly. And I just felt a sense of responsibility as a citizen, even as a mom myself, that these women need our support. She said yes to life, but what happens after that? We got to go beyond that, and we have to say, okay, now let's come alongside her and partner with her. And how can we help her not only overcome poverty for her own personal satisfaction and development, but that trickles down to the children and their children. So in effect, you know, it's like when you help one mom overcome poverty, that changes generations. And it happened in my personal life. When my mom started overcoming poverty, that translated over to me, and it translated to my children, and now I'm a grandmother. So it's like, from my point on, there is no poverty. That's a beautiful thing that we do. And I think that that's what inspires donors. It's not like, you know, here's $1 for one person. It's like, here's $1 for you to change generations.
Absolutely. Well, Marisol, you are such a beautiful soul.
Thank you.
And as a mom, I so appreciate what you're doing for the mothers here in the Garden State.
Thank you.
Where can people find out more about Renew, to buy the book and to donate?
Well, the book is available on Amazon, and Renew Life Center, NJ.org is our website. And you could go to the donate button there and give there. We could be reached at 862-257-3817. I would love to hear from anybody who wants to call and come and visit, take a tour, and just learn more about what we do and get involved in one way. There's many ways to be involved, and I'm sure there's one way for everyone.
Thank you, Marisol, for coming in today.
Thank you for having me.
Now we're joined by Sean Spiller, a former educator, former mayor of Montclair, and the president of the New Jersey Education Association. Sean has dedicated his career to championing students, supporting teachers, and strengthening our public schools. Sean, it's so great to have you here.
Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, you are coming off of a pretty hectic 2025, running for the Democratic nomination for governor.
Yes.
You came short, but I mean, I know you had a lot of fun and learned a
Yeah.
lot about
Yeah.
this state.
It was a ton of fun. You know, you get out there, you talk to folks, you engage in the conversation, and you're out there sharing why we need Really, we need people who are running for office fighting for what we need in the state, working class folks, and I think bringing that message forward is always an important one, no matter the outcome. And finally, I could answer the question to my 5-year-old who would come home every day and say, "Daddy, did you win? Did you win? Are you now the head of government?" And I'm like, "Well, we don't know yet. We don't know yet." So I got that answer. But listen, that whole process was really, really important. I think it certainly was a learning experience for me, for sure, but I think important for what it means for the state.
What did you learn being out on the campaign trail? What is it that parents are wanting from our public schools?
Yeah, well, listen, public schools are a huge piece of it. We've got the best schools in the nation, and that's important. But I think even in that context, people want to make sure they can afford to support their families, want to afford to support our great public schools, want to afford to be able to provide for themselves. And I think at the end of the day, when I would be out there talking about all of these things, right? It's housing, it's healthcare. It's support for schools. People often say to us as educators, "Hey, stay in your lane, shut that door, talk about reading, writing, and say, no, these other things are so impactful. They're impactful on student outcomes. They're impactful on just the accomplishments that our students can have in the future with the supports that they have now. So all of these are important conversations that we're going to continue to engage in, and certainly I was happy to as a candidate for governor.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's funny. People say stay in your lane, but I mean, it touches so many lanes, education.
Of course. And it's easy to see, right? I mean, when you think about it for a moment, you're like, well, of course, talking about food insecurity is going to impact if a student is able to come into your classroom and learn that day, right?
Yeah.
Talking about mental health services is going to impact how a student comes in and tries to learn something that day. We are a union that is justice-centered. We've got to engage in these issues to try and make life better for more folks.
Yeah. So for those watching who don't really understand the purpose of the NJEA and how it impacts education, enlighten us.
Yeah, I appreciate that broad question there, right? So the NJEA, first, what it is, right? It is a union that represents all the educators throughout the state. Those are folks who are teachers in a classroom. I'm a high school science teacher, but it is also all the support services around that. That's nurses, that's secretaries, that's bus drivers, custodians, maintenance workers, anyone you can think of that has a touch point on a school can be a member of the New Jersey Education Association, and we help represent them to say, hey, let's find a way that through your union, that your individual voice as one person can be amplified with the voices of almost 200,000 folks. Because we know that when we kind of pool those issues and concerns and bring forward that stronger, larger, louder voice, you can get more done. So really fundamentally, it's just a way to say, what is it that you care about? What is it you want to do? Let's help you do that and bring that forward. Most of it, of course, is education-based because folks come into this, they're educators. So it's professional development, it's advocacy for what their schools need, it's helping to make sure their kids get what they need, all of those things. But even more broadly, there are folks who say, hey, I want to volunteer my time and my passion is around this issue or that issue. Well, great. The union is a great way to bring that forward as well and make sure you can advocate in a stronger way.
Yeah, I asked that broad question because I'm a mother with a child going into kindergarten next year. So for those watching maybe in that same boat, they know the NJEA and how important it is to the state of our teachers and education here.
You know what? I think what you just said is a perfect thing, though, because you know your child's teacher, you know your child's bus driver, you know your child's aide in the classroom, you know your child's cafeteria worker because they probably helped them out when they forgot their lunch money, right? All of these things are folks that people do know, and they are members of the NJEA. They are the NJEA because when we get together, we say, hey, what is it you care about? And they tell us, and they say, this is something we need to fight for, or here's something I'm passionate about. So when we hear that, it guides our policy and where we go. So in fact, you probably know a lot of NJEA. You just don't know it or don't associate it. Right, exactly.
Right. So what are some of the hot button issues and initiatives for the 2025-26 school year?
Yeah, one of the biggest ones that we've been seeing is the shortage of educators, right? We've got the #1 schools in the nation. We're really proud of that. But what we're seeing is really stressors on the system where less people are coming into the profession. We've got less people going through all those teacher prep programs throughout the state in our colleges and universities. And then we are having a harder time keeping people in the profession. Right? And fundamentally, that's driven by the fact, years ago, what was the story? It was, hey, listen, if you go into education, you won't make as much as your peers who go do something else. But here's the deal. You're going to have decent health benefits. You're going to be able to have a retirement, stable. That was the promise. But we've seen that be eroded over the last number of years, right? Especially under our last governor. But we saw where they've gone after health benefits. They've gone after pensions, all those things. So now you're talking with somebody who's invested sometime. If we recruit them in and they're here, they go, wait a minute, I could be doing something else, making more money. the benefits are better, and also the pension that I contribute to, the state's not even putting anything into. So you put all that together and folks are jumping, they're going someplace else. So I think fundamentally we've got to get back to how do we, unless we're going to start paying what people are worth and the dollars are not put there, how do we invest long term so we can invest in things like pensions and health benefits and things that we can as a state or certainly as a society say, we're going to provide these services that can keep pulling people into the profession. So that's got to be a big focus moving forward. We want to make sure all our classes are offered. Right now at the high school level, you see they're not offering certain things because they don't have enough educators. We're seeing class sizes go up because, again, less educators, so more kids in each class. And we're just really worried about that trend. We want to make sure we're getting back to what has made us so great so far.
Yeah, absolutely. You've been in this role for 12 years.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah,
How did you even land this position?
Yeah, it's funny because nobody ever goes into it and saying, "Hey, I want to become the leader of the association, the union that represent." That's not what you do.
No.
You go into it and say, "I want to be a teacher. I want to be whatever it is that you do."
And you were a teacher in Wayne.
Yeah, in Wayne. Yeah, well, I started in Kinnelon. It was my first job in Kinnelon, and then went to Wayne. Loved both spots, and for Wayne, majority of my time. But yeah, you go in and you say, "This is great. I love it." But then something happens along the way. And for me, it was, I remember, teaching anatomy and physiology, and I didn't have as much say in like what we dissected as I thought we should. And I was complaining to somebody like, "We should have more say." Like, I don't know, go talk to the union or go have a conversation. And I remember walking past the union office and just knocking on the door to the president at the time, and I said, "Hey, if you ever need any help with anything, let me know. I just like to learn more. I'd like to learn more about what this is." And she looked at me kind of funny, said, "All right, come on in." And I had worked briefly at the Associated Press before, so she's like, "Well, you know something there. Why don't you do the newsletter, or why don't you do something there?" And I got involved. And in very short order, I kind of saw the impact that you could have. I'd see how many people would pop in, and just a quick question or quick concern, and how much that information could then be used to help folks. So really got that bug for it. And so very quickly I became an officer at the local level. And then from there at the county level, you kind of see where this is going. And then I ended up running for a position at the state level, which is actually a great opportunity to kind of see what it's like to run for governor, quite frankly, because we represent 200,000 educators throughout the state. So when I was running for that position, you got to go everywhere. You got to go to every district. You have to go all over the state talking to folks. And it's kind of similar in ways, obviously.
And the state is so diverse in every way.
Yeah.
In population, in thought.
Yes, including our membership, right?
It's like you have sometimes it feels like you have 4 states in one almost.
There's a lot there, right?
Yeah.
I think there's a lot there that pulls people in varying directions. But I think what I love about it, the role that I have, and certainly the conversations, is what always grounds people, no matter what you're talking about, no matter what you think on other issues, is, do you want great schools for your kids? Do you want wonderful opportunities for your children? And we all know the answer. I don't care who I'm talking to. I know the answer. So as a foundation, let's start there. Let's talk about that. Let's see what can we work on together. Yeah. So I think it's always an easier kind of start point in conversation. And then, of course, we build it out from there.
Finally, I don't know how you have the time for all of this. You used to teach. Okay,
Yeah.
now you transition to this. Mayor of Montclair, Dad.
Yeah.
How?
Yeah, well, listen, there are certain mornings I wake up, I'm like, oh, these bags are getting bigger, but you've got to get, you've got to get around, you've got to get it done. You know how it is. You always figure out a way.
Of course.
This morning it was the scramble to sign up for early care and aftercare,
okay.
and you'll be experiencing it as you just shared. But it's like, oh my God, you've got to get this done while trying to get them to swim camp, while making some meetings that I had, and all of the things. So that's the kind of the nature of it. But you just figure out how to make it work. It's obviously being pretty focused on schedule and what that looks like, and kind of abiding by that. But it's fun along the way, right? Because my own personal story for my kids, like always asking questions about what I'm doing and what the impact is, to being able to connect that to who I'm fighting for, and my why. And my why has always been about how can we move the state forward. And at the core of it, it's for our kids, it's for our future, but it's for all of us. And it's been why I've run for governor. It's why I run for this position. It's why I become an educator. I mean, the answer's simple for me. It's always the same why. And when you're grounded in that, it makes it always enjoyable, no matter what you're running around to do.
Yeah, the passion is palpable, and you love our great state.
I love it. I love New Jersey. It is a great state. There are so many things to do, and I say, no, there's nothing better than Jersey, because we've got everything. We have everything, and so we just have to make sure we're finding a way to make sure more folks can take advantage of that, more affordable for more folks. But we're going to keep fighting for that together.
Awesome. Sean, I'm so happy to have gotten to know you over the governor campaign.
Likewise.
And, thank you for all you're doing for our schools. Where can people find out more about you and NJEA?
Yeah, well, on NJEA, it's really easy, and certainly information about me there. I still have my site, seanspiller.com, and all my social media pieces that are out there, and we'll see what's next on that front.
I'm sure you already know what's next, and when you're ready to share, I know you will.
Awesome.
You won't be shy.
Awesome. You're right. You're right.
Thank you, Sean.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Ruthi Zinn Byrne, founder of Zinn Graves Field, has spent more than 35 years helping shape the public voice of some of New Jersey's most respected institutions while serving as a trusted civic leader and strategic advisor. Ruthi, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
You are like a living, breathing New Jersey legacy, and I'm so happy Nadine Breckner brought us together.
Thank you to Nadine, and thank you to you for following up.
I mean, you've had such an illustrious career. Communications is obviously a crazy business to be in, and it's changed so much over the years. How have you been able to adapt?
Well, the basic part of any business is doing a job right and competence. If you're competent, then you're going to get hired. And the other thing is reputation. Watch your reputation. Do the right thing, because New Jersey is a very small state. And if you do something wrong one way, it's going to come back to bite you. So be competent and be good at what you do and be honest. So that's part of communicating, and understand people.
Absolutely.
Ask questions the way you're asking questions of me. Ask questions, people will give you the answers, and then follow up. That's sort of, I think, a very simple formula.
So what services do you provide to all of these New Jersey institutions and organizations?
Well, it's a wide range. Sometimes we deal with the legislature, although I am not a registered lobbyist, but I do deal with the legislature. I can deal with the governor's office. We can reach out to any corporation. I can get you in the door. I may not be able to get what you want, but I can get you in the door. And then you have to be yourself.
On Your New Jersey, on this show, we talk a lot about community initiatives. So let's dive a little deeper into the community initiatives that you're involved with.
Start with Paper Mill Playhouse, which is a wonderful regional playhouse, as everybody knows, in Millburn, New Jersey. Luna Stage, which is a wonderful, tiny little theater. Everything they do is tiny and spectacular. West Orange, border, orange. So that's all very good. New Jersey Symphony Orchestra is wonderful. PAC is great. We have a lot of arts.
So how do you raise money for the arts and all of these various efforts?
Unfortunately, just go ask people.
Isn't that intimidating, though? I mean, for people like Nadine Breckner, no, but it's intimidating.
I wouldn't use that word. I would say you get tired of asking people. You get tired of going back to the same sources again and again and again and keep hitting. And there are some people, some corporations that are so generous, like PSE&G, Prudential, Horizon, Verizon. These are such generous corporations. You go back to them and back to them, and they're great. But they may get tired of, they may delete your emails when they
keep seeing them pop up.
Right,
yeah, I've been there, done that.
Been there, done that. Right.
So when you are knocking on those doors, because you had to, especially building your business, what drove you to be okay with hearing the word no?
It's not personal. And life is a game of statistics. You're going to go out a certain number of times. You're going to get a certain number of yeses. You're going to get a certain number of no's. If you get more yeses than no's, you've got to claim a victory. Yeah. Besides, that's not all I do. I mean, I do a lot of other things for clients. We communicate with corporations. We find trustees for boards. We are matchmakers for businesses. Or if it's a 501c3 like the paper mill, there's a give or get. Right? And you have to find the money or give it yourself, which may be fine. Mm-hmm. So, but it's fun.
Yeah, it's so much fun. With the upcoming governor's race, are you involved in any way in helping shape any of that?
I try to stay neutral, because part of my job, when whomever wins, whether it's Mikey or Jack, I need an open door to that office, and I don't want to be on one side or the other. Because one thing politicians do not forget is when you work against them. They take it very personally, and I don't want to be on one side or the other. Besides, we have two good choices, as it turns out. So I'm going to wait and see.
What fun initiatives is the company working on right now?
All of the arts, to me, are fun initiatives. And we represent, by the way, St. Peter's Hospital in New Brunswick. They have the best NICU unit anywhere. You want to have a baby, that's the way to go. And they're terrific people. And we got the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation to give them almost $1 million last year, and they started a food pantry. That's fun. I mean, I have fun in sort of funny ways, but that's, you see something happen.
No, I totally get
Right.
it. When you are working on an initiative and you see it come to life,
Yes.
that is, of course, there's nothing more fun.
That is fun. And I also want to see good people running things, because that makes a big, big, big difference. I want to see good people in office, back to politics. I want them to be honest. I want them to be there for the right reasons.
Well, finally, you have been able to balance this wonderful career in business by also being a mom.
Mom, grandmom.
Yeah, so tell us a bit about your family.
My son is in finance, and my daughter is a journalist, and she runs her own business, journal business. And I have 5 grandsons, and I'm taking them to London and Edinburgh next month. So
Wow.
I'm so lucky. I don't let them move. They have to stay within confines of New York and New Jersey,
Yes.
right? Can't keep them on the leash. And I have the best time with them, and I'm so lucky.
Yeah.
So all boys.
Yeah. And that fuels you, I'm sure, to just keep on going.
It does. It's great. It's
Yeah.
all great.
Well, Ruthi, where can people find out more about you and your company?
They can Google me, because we're very Googleable. And you just put the name Ruthi Byrne in, and up pops more than you ever want to read. So
Okay. Well, Ruthi, this was so much fun.
My
Thank you so
pleasure.
much. I know you,
My
I mean,
pleasure.
you've been such a mover and shaker in this state, and thank you for giving us the insight on how that all works.
Well, thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for joining me on another episode of Your New Jersey. I'm Lisa Marie Falbo. We'll see you back here next week.